Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Schuler, Director of the Center for Nonprofit NGO Studies at Northern Illinois University. Super excited to welcome folks to our first career conversations of 2025-26. We're very, very excited to have our recent alums come back with us. But first, I wanted to introduce Julianne Ocado, the co-hostess with the mostest, to talk just a little bit about why we do this, and I'll fill out some background, and then we'll introduce our presenters.
Awesome, thank you. Well, you know what? NNGO Career Conversations came about actually from student feedback. We started hearing from you guys who were majors, minors, and certificates that you got to graduation and you were kind of like, okay, I'm so excited, but like, how do I take that first step? Like, I don't know, what kind of exact job do I want? Like, what's out there? And if students knew exactly what they wanted to do, like marketing or, finance, but then what kind of organization? But sometimes kids were just really interested in specific subsectors of nonprofits. Like, I kind of don't care what I do as long as I can work with animals. And so that's how Career Conversations was born. It was an opportunity to bring our alumni back in to share their experience and their knowledge and connect with students who are currently in the program. And the second thing, and Ollie, we were talking about this in class, is it's a way for our students to network too. Our alums are going to put their LinkedIn links in the chat, and now you get to start becoming connected to alumni and alums. It's really fun to talk to the current students and see what's happening in their world. So that is how Career Conversations was born.
Thank you, Julianne. So we have some recent grads. Today is the first event of the school year, is the navigating the college to career transition. I remember my first job as a nonprofit. I didn't even know what questions to ask. I didn't know what job title I was looking for. I knew I wanted to make a difference. I knew I wanted to be a community organizer. But I was kind of like thrown to the wolves, as they say. So my first job experience was not my last job experience in the nonprofit sector. So it's really exciting to be able to hear from folks that recently graduated. So we have a couple folks here, maybe a third coming. For those who are watching this in 2050, the year 2025 is a little, let's say, odd. And one of our recent alum is working on an issue that's very, very, very current in today's times. And so his job required him to be mobilized at a moment's notice. So hopefully he'll be joining us soon. That's how I'm going to say it, just in case folks are watching this later. So we are going to be streaming this on our YouTube channel. We have over 60 videos, so we're excited to have this conversation be added. So with us today, right now, we have two recent graduates, and wanted to give you both some time to introduce yourselves. So we have Bianca Galicia, who was graduated in 24, and she can tell you about her experiences, what led her to this degree and what she did after. And then Clara Barbier, you graduated in 22, was it? With a double major, if I'm not mistaken. So close to my heart as well. So why don't we give a start with just by introducing yourself and tell us about your background and where you currently work. So currently on my screen is Clara, so can you give us a start?
Absolutely. So like Dr. Schuler said, I graduated in December of 2022. I double majored in anthropology and NGO studies. I'm currently in St. Louis. I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, and then moved back after graduation because I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. I had lots of conversations with Julianne and Dr. Alicia Shadaman, who is a previous director of the center, about the fact that I was very interested in museums and education work, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I decided that I wasn't going to apply for anything while I was still in college. I moved back home, went back to my part time college summer job, and kind of gave myself a break, and then moved back into applying for jobs. And that was an experience in and upon itself with the way the job market is today. So I started at the St. Louis Community Foundation 7 months ago now. So I've been doing full time, not just part time work, but full time work for about 7 months.
Thank you. Also, I was telling a story about another homecoming story, Bianca.
Thank you. As Dr. Schuler said, I graduated in spring 24. I kind of went a different route. I grew up here in Illinois, but also grew up down in El Paso. I knew that once I graduated college, I wanted to return back to El Paso, where I ended up at a immigration reform organization as well, where I started as a case manager. But ultimately, I found out that was not what I wanted to do. Um, so I came back to Illinois. Fortunately enough, I made a connection from one of my part-time jobs that I was working during college, at a nonprofit down in Hinsdale. Um, and then luckily enough, when I was looking for a job, my old boss actually reached out to me about a position working in the school district. Um, so now I am currently working at the community house down in Hinsdale. I split my time up between two programs. I split my time between Spark Initiative program down in Willowbrook, as well as the community house before and after school program. But yeah.
Thank you. Got half of your laugh. That's half more than no laugh. So since you're on the screen, why don't we start with you, Bianca? Tell us about your time at NIU. What was your major? If you had a minor and certificate, and what did you hope to do post-graduation?
Okay, so I graduated I went in with a major of NGO studies, and then my minor was political science, and then I got a certificate in, I believe it was Spanish, if I remember correctly. It's been a little bit since I've looked at my stuff. Um, but yeah, I knew right off the bat I really wanted to work with immigration reform. That was always my niche. I've always been one of those people that have been a helping hand. Um, I was always the person that if somebody needed help, I was there to offer that help. So that's kind of what led me down the path that of immigration reform, because it was one of the main topics that was true and near to my heart. But again, um, I quickly found out that case management was not for me. Um, but when I came back to Illinois, um, I don't think I said what I said. I'm a youth program specialist now. Um, I started off as a youth programs coordinator, now became a specialist. Um, and I do a lot of data work, a lot of data work, especially when it comes with I need to do for children, as well as feedback from students and parents. And then I have a deep connection with my board of directors as well. Every decision I make comes from my board of directors. Um, I've kind of fallen into different roles while I've been in my current position. Um, and it's been very difficult, to say the least, just navigating through, because just as Dr. Schuler said, I was kind of thrown into the wolves. I didn't really have anybody to navigate me through what I was doing when I first entered into my role, which is unfortunate. But later I met my now mentor, who has helped me navigate and kind of organize myself in my role currently. Um, and yeah.
Thank you, Bianca. Clara, you've mentioned your double majors. Tell us about your time at NIU, because you didn't grow up in Illinois. And what made you choose us, and what did you hope to do after you graduated?
Yeah, I chose NIU mostly because it was the sweet spot between families. And I came into undergrad declared as an anthropology major, but with a history minor, and did not know anything about nonprofit studies. Didn't know it was a thing, didn't know much about it. My parents both worked in nonprofits throughout my life, so I knew what they did, what they kind of constituted as, but I didn't know it was something I could study. And based on my time, based on when I graduated, might be obvious, but I went to school. I was in undergrad during COVID. So that was very wild and isolating time, if I do say so. And I kind of fell into the nonprofit and NGO studies program. I took one class virtually and kind of fell in love with it, and then decided to double major. So it was kind of a roller coaster for me as to what I wanted to do. Um, Towards the end of my time in undergrad, I really fell into the museum space. And it's still what I would love to do, but it's not currently what I'm doing. I'm currently the administrative assistant and office manager at the St. Louis Community Foundation. Um, so it's definitely, they don't align, but it's a really great space to kind of grow and learn. And I've been able to put myself into a space where I have been able to meet so many people and just kind of get my bearings on the full-time work world.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that. We're going to keep on switching order because it's easier to, I think, continue the conversation with you, Clara. So the Community Foundation, there are not every community has a community foundation. DeKalb County has one, as do places like Chicago or Minneapolis. But you know, your a very important role that you're playing. Tell us about your current position and what about it is challenging, what about it is rewarding, and tell us a little about the foundation itself.
Yeah. So the St. Louis Community Foundation is actually one of, if not, I think second maybe, oldest community foundations in the country. I think at this time we've got about $600 million in assets. So it's a large community foundation. It's humongous, at least financially. There are only like 25 or 30 of us on staff, but we do have quite a lot in assets. And we're in a unique position in terms of community foundations because we don't do a lot of programming. So lots of other community foundations run programs for their communities or provide direct assistance. And unfortunately, the St. Louis Community Foundation doesn't. So we act kind of, in the most basic terms, as intermediaries from wealthy um, philanthropists to nonprofits in the St. Louis area. Most of our funds are from the donor advised funds. So again, those are wealthy people who hold funds with us and then decide where their money is going to go. We do have some money that is up to our discretion to spend, and that is where we spend it in kind of programming. We do scholarships. We have a updated strategic plan, kind of focusing on youth connections and education, and then economic mobility and economic wealth building. But again, we're very unique because we don't do much of that programming. We also, though, have corporate services. So we work with wealth advisors and money managers to connect their wealthy clients with their philanthropic interests. So it's an interesting place to be, because we don't do some of the like what are considered standard things that lots of other community foundations do. My role is I when I tell people what I do, I tell people that my job is board liaison and to keep my coworkers happy with chocolate and caffeine. That's what I tell people because those are like the two pillars of my job. I mean, I do a lot more than that. But those are the essentials. So I work in tandem with our CEO and our CFO, and our board chair to make sure all of our quarterly meetings run smoothly. I do all the meeting minutes, we facilitate meetings, we do all that fun stuff. But then on the day-to-day end, I run the office, make sure we have enough paper, make sure there's enough coffee stocked, so it's a fun job. I think in terms of the hardest thing is that because we don't do programming, I say no a lot. We have hundreds of people that call asking for financial assistance. Do we do utility assistance? Can we help with their rent? And the unfortunate answer is no. So it's the hard part is having to say no. Also learning how to politely disagree with people in the office and then walking out of a meeting and working right alongside them 5 minutes later. It's been an interesting challenge to navigate because there are lots of different viewpoints in our office, especially about what we do and how we present ourselves. So it's interesting.
Wow.
You say,
Can I hop in here just for a sec? This is funny. So I knew that Clara was working at a community foundation just because of LinkedIn. So, but I didn't have her home email. So like with Bianca, I just stalked him we were all connected on LinkedIn and I'm messaging him and Bianca I had heard from like relatively quickly. Clara I hadn't heard yet. So I thought, well, I'm just going to call the St. Louis Community Foundation. So I call a community foundation and this very lovely woman answers the phone. St. Louis Community Foundation, how can I help you? And I'm like, I'd love to speak to Clara Barbier. And all of it, there's just this silence for a sec. And then I hear, this is Clara. And I'm like, Clara, it's Julianne from NNGO. And she's like, oh, like, I think it was so like, what? Why are you calling? So anyway, the whole Ollie, we were talking about this in class today, like the networking piece and being able to know like, oh, the kinds of people we wanted to have on today from different areas and different kinds of jobs. And Clara, you were one of them. It was like, that would be good. So anyway, that's a fun piece. But I'm really curious with that, with your foundation, the community foundation, is there any talk about doing programming? And you coming from DeKalb County that does programming to the nth degree like other orgs don't. Like is there
Yeah,
a possibility?
a little bit. So with this new, I shouldn't say new, it started in 2024, the 2024 through 28 strategic plan. About $1 million or so in discretionary funds are being funneled towards economic mobility and youth connections. And so actually at the beginning of the 2025 calendar year was the start to the very first grant cycles that the community foundation has ever run. So we are working our way through grant applications and letters of interest and all of the nitty gritty that maybe you don't think of when you're applying for a grant, but we're giving away the money and kind of working out all the kinks. This is our first grant cycle for both areas. So that's really the programming that the community foundation is looking to do is much more in grant making.
Gotcha. I wonder if that'll change at some point.
We have a phenomenal grants administrator. Her name is Mariana. She is very, very good at her job and her calendar is full.
I bet it is. Thank you.
You mentioned that you had 25 folks working there. That's actually not a small office.
It's
It's
not a
not.
small office. We're running out of physical space. I think in comparison to financials, maybe it seems a lot smaller. We all kind of dip our toes in other things. So
Yeah. And so, I mean, having to interface with the board, having to make sure the meetings run smoothly, reminded me of a little bit of what Bianca was saying about just having to do it all. Bianca, like, what is tell us about like how it is that you do that work? Because you said you have to be in connection with the board, you have to be in connection with keeping things running. Tell us about like your challenges at your job and how you manage them and what you like about it.
Even in conjunction of that, I have a team of 12 people that I run. Um, so it's a lot, to be completely honest. But I'm gonna be complete. I have it right next to me. My planner is my best friend, completely my best friend. I have a digital planner as well. Um, I have a really big planner on my whiteboard right next to me right now. I have to visually see everything. If I don't see it, it's not in my schedule, it's not in my calendar. Um, I also, thankfully, my front desk support, they also keep me in check. Um, especially when it comes to doing our all faculty meetings. Um, like Clara said, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of um things that we have to talk about. Like currently right now, I am facing a lot of challenges with my facilities director. Just because we are such a small space, but all we do is programming. We run adult programming, we run youth programming, um, we even do adolescent programming. Like we go from ages, I would say our lowest program starts at 3 months old, and then our oldest program goes to about 90 and plus. So we're a whole range. And yeah, it's just a lot. And thankfully, I also have a great team who also back me up. And also they tell me when I'm wrong, which I truly appreciate because um I truly appreciate accountability in my office. Everybody in my office knows that. If there's a mistake, please own up to it, even if it's me. Um, and also establishing a culture, that's also another thing. Establishing a culture where it's so open and free, where we're able to speak like, hey, I need help with this. Can you help me? Or vice versa, like my counterpart, she'll ask me, hey, I need help with this assignment. Can you help me? Yes, of course. I think that's also what's helped kind of build off of or take off stress off of my plate, because I do deal with a lot of constituents. I deal with a lot of people. Um, even being a liaison within the district is quite challenging as well because our PTO is very hands-on. Like, I feel like you have to really know how to communicate with people as well. Because if you can't effectively communicate with somebody, you're never going to get your point across. You're not. Like, you can say, hey, this is what needs to be done, but what's the solution for it? You have to have all that. I can't go up to my boss and be like, hey, I need 10 sharpeners Can I get that? No, I have to be like, hey, I need 10 sharpeners. My budget says I have $100 in supplies. How can I make this work? It's a lot of compromise at my job. A lot of compromise, a lot of tug and pull within departments, within people, within customer, everybody. It's a pull and take. That's why it's so interesting to hear Clara, because I feel like I'm so opposite in my organization. Because we are so program driven, you know. Um, but we also have a donor advisory, like, but we also hold galas, balls to gain our money. Like our next one is our holiday ball in December, which is our biggest event for fundraising, where last year we raised about, I want to say 1.2 in
1.2,
donations million.
just finish
Um,
that.
yes. In donations. Um, I deal with a lot of wealthy donors. Definitely for sure in that upper tier for
Mhm.
um, but yeah,
So
that's how
yeah,
I get
there's
through my day.
yeah, so it's a lot of the contrast about programming versus not programming, I think is very interesting. The size of the organization, I think, is very interesting as well. But you both mentioned people skills as things that are important. Like Clara said, you have to disagree civilly, and then 5 minutes later, after you freshen up, you have to go back to work together. And Bianca, you mentioned something similar. Can you talk about the other skills you need to be successful at your job, and what new ones did you have to add to your repertoire? Go ahead and start, Bianca.
Um, Fortunately enough, public speaking wasn't difficult for me. But that is very huge. Even faking it till you make it. I do that every single day. I fake it till I make it. And also just having a positive attitude. I feel like that really pushes my day a lot better. Um, yeah, because it really pushes a day, especially if we have meetings upon meetings upon meetings. And if it's just low morale in the office, it just brings low morale everywhere else.
Bianca, I have a quick question. The fake it till you make it thing. Were you expecting that? Like going from college into career, did you think that that would be kind of how that happened, or did you have different expectations going into the job world?
Mm, I kind of expected it when I
Oh,
went into the job world, just because of the organizations that I was a part of on campus. It kind of
okay.
opened my eyes up to some of the realities. Even when I was working in my internship during my time at NIU, it even also showed me the realities.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah,
no,
so that wasn't shocking to you.
no, it wasn't shocking to me.
You mentioned that you had a paper planner. I remember right until my first month of being a director of the center, I had a paper planner. I kept them actually. I just went through power, the organizing training. Um, so you said public speaking comes easy too, but the other skills that you have to pick up. How do you work? What are some of the skills that you had to? I mean, yes, fake it till you make it is something that a lot of our students have had to learn on the job,
Being
but
organized, definitely number one. Dr. Schuler can tell you when he first met me, I was very disorganized. Um, I was definitely very disorganized. But now being into my career, I cannot be disorganized. I cannot. Because then again, it goes back to accountability. Like, then all those mistakes that were made all fall on me because of my decisions of being disorganized. um
I do feel like we hear that from interns a lot, that their internship was one of the first places they were like, oh, I've got homework, I've got those details, and my internship is like they expect some stuff.
mhm. And during my internship, I was a commuter. I lived about 45 minutes away from DeKalb, and I had to be at Tails by 6:30 in the morning when I had to go to my internship. And then on top of my regular classes, on top of whatever organizations I was on, and then whatever schoolwork I had. Um, so definitely learning being organized definitely helped me and definitely pushed me to grow into my position that I am in right now. Um, but also not letting my my personal boundaries being crossed as well. Um, I feel like that's also a main thing that people need to learn is not letting your boundaries be crossed. If there's a boundary, like you have to stick with it or else people are going to walk over you. Unfortunately, like in this industry, like it's very much a reality.
Yeah, it's in this may ebb and flow, but right now is there's a lot of lot of need to work with others across differences and making doing more with less and compromise is certainly going to be important to nonprofits as we and international NGOs as we move forward. Clara, if you could help us give us some background here. So what are some of the skills you need to be successful at your job and what new ones you have to add to your repertoire?
Yeah, I think Bianca hit the nail on the head. Communication is key. Um, I so is organization. I was pretty organized in college. Like Bianca, everything is physical. I have like a calendar um, attached to my email, but I have a daily to-do list. It structures my day, and some things are daily. Some things I do every single day, others I don't. And if I don't get to those things, they get pushed to the next day. And I have a notebook. I use a daily to-do list though every day. And I think one of the things that was already important to me prior to being a full-time employee, but has become even more important is a schedule and a routine. I get up at 5 in the morning every morning. I exercise. I get ready. I go to work. I come home. I make dinner. Kind of right, and like so, all of those things. It's the same every day. While I might not be doing the exact same things, there is a set schedule. There's a set routine, and it just helps life flow. Um, I think kind of on the flip side though is being flexible and being able to pivot when I need to, right? Like I'm not gonna be able to fit everything into one day or do everything all at once. So I always have to be able to take on a new project, do something else when someone asks, right? So just kind of really being flexible, even though I have a schedule and I use a to-do list, being able to add and remove and kind of go with the flow. I think Bianca touched on it. Boundaries are super important. So is work-life balance. I have my email on my phone. I don't keep my notifications on. I have access to it, but I don't check it. Once I'm home, and work doesn't leave work. Our office really likes to say there are no philanthropic emergencies. Once you leave the office, it stays there. So I, unlike a lot of other folks in the nonprofit space, am not constantly working. I can turn it off and leave it at work, and come home and enjoy my time at home without really kind of like a fire burning around me. Yes, there are super vital and important things that we're funding. There's constantly emails and meetings, but there are no emergencies in my world. So it's nice. I know that not everybody has that's not the reality for everybody. So I think the last thing is finding things to do. Sometimes I am a lot less busy than I thought I would be. And so making things up for myself, touching people and saying, what can I do to ease your day? Because I don't have as much as I thought I was going to do. So do you have any small things? Is there anything I can do for you? Just to make the office life easier, but also to kind of fill my time. So
Besides the chocolate, that is.
yeah, and that gets rotated. Right now we've got gummy bears and Halloween pretzels in the candy box. So, and it goes quick, let me tell you. In an office of 30 people where everybody has a sweet tooth, it goes quick.
Clara, you brought up something that I'd love to add in. It's not specifically one of our questions, but for you guys, is professional development something that is on the minds of like your upline? And do you guys have opportunities to partake in different professional development do you have opportunities for that?
We do. It's encouraged in my office. So one of the things we get not rated, evaluated every quarter, every 6 months or so. And it's something that we get evaluated on. Did you do any professional development this quarter or this 6 months or this year? If so, what did you do? What did you learn? How did it go? So I have yet to have been at the foundation for about 7 months. I have yet to do any like true professional development, but it's also something that we do bi-monthly as a full staff. I order lunch and we sit down for an hour and a half and talk about what is most topical in our office. So maybe it's one of the programs we're doing and they're providing updates on their grant cycles. Maybe it's our donor services team providing updates on kind of what they're doing, or our events team providing updates on what is upcoming. So it's kind of we do a lot of professional development. Lots of folks go to conferences, but we also focus on full staff professional development pretty routinely.
Nice. Bianca, how about you?
So ours is opposite. So ours are mandatory. And we have monthly meetings and then ours are bi-monthly. And then our last one that we did actually is because it's a common trend in our organization right now, is conflict resolution. That was our last professional development topic. But yeah, we do them quite often, as well as doing conferences. Like our next one that we're doing is IPRA. My organization, we run
What
more
does
like
IPR
a
stand
per
for?
district. Illinois Parks and Recreation Association.
So it sounds like your education did not end when you graduated. But tell us about your preparation, that the major or or your internship experiences, provided for you. Because when I was a kid, back in the 90s in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, I had a couple majors in college, and I was able to, the phrase "fake it till you make it" didn't exist back then, but just make stuff up, and as an anthropology major and a couple other majors, I was able to put my sociological imagination or anthropological imagination to work. But when it comes down to it, like I didn't have that background. But you can tell us about, what about your career at an NGO prepared you for your current job, and could be in your internship or could be in your classes or both. Give us a start, Bianca, and I'll turn back to Clara.
Um, I would say the class that really benefited me the most as of right now, definitely was Intro to Research. Just because right now I am in my data tracking season. Um, and I kind of have a leg up against all my other coworkers, just because they don't know how to do it. Or it's very difficult for them to do it. Um, Even describing data points is very difficult for them sometimes. So that class, even though at the time I didn't appreciate it, now I definitely do, because that's all I'm doing right now is working Excel, working SPSS, working in a whole bunch of programs. Um, but also having that structure of, okay, this is what I need to do for today. Like, just in general, like, overall structure, like, of every class is different. And that made me learn, okay, if people can run on a different structure, how can I incorporate that into my own, you know? Mm. But my internship, to be honest, my internship, I feel for me personally, I didn't get an experience that I truly wanted, but that's my own fault because the internship is very much catered to however you want it to be catered to. Um, I unfortunately didn't take advantage of some of the mentors I had during my internship, so that's why right now I'm saying that it didn't really have much benefit for me. Um, But other than that, like, yeah, definitely will say intro to research. But also there's this one class that I took with Deanna Kata, um, when it was talking about the different breakdowns of sectors. Um, I have to deal with a lot of people in different sectors as well. And just even knowing the background of what their sector does is very beneficial. Um, because for them, it's you taking the time to get to know what they're all about. Um, so that's always been very beneficial as well.
Yeah, cool. That's good. Always good to hear with an honest assessment about your experience. So Clara, flip it to you. Given your job right now and given your experience in the nonprofit sector, what about your career at an NGO or even your anthropology major prepared you for it? What was could be your internship, could be class experience, all of the above. What was most helpful?
I think like looking at it, and it's not my day-to-day life, I don't think about undergrad really. um and so like sitting here now thinking about it, I think probably the most influential class I took was uh, board, whichever the board class is. Board,
Board
knowing
and
learning,
governance?
yes, board and governance, and I took that with Dr. Shadaman. And then just the kind of integrated financial aspect, right? Like I never thought that I would be into finances. Who would have thought? I don't do math very well, but I enjoy myself some good finances and some good spreadsheets. So just kind of like the integrated financial aspect that seems to be in every class. There's always talk about how do you leverage financials in the nonprofit space. And so board and governance, I work so much with our board, and just understanding how those, what roles are being played and why, and all of that stuff. But really the financials, I think in a similar vein to Bianca, I didn't take the right advantage of my internship. Part of that I think is that I moved back home, and so the connections that I made while I was in DeKalb did not necessarily translate back to St. Louis. I also didn't go straight into the nonprofit sector immediately out of college. So there are kind of maybe some extenuating circumstances, but I think, again, my own fault. But I think in a positive light, I think the internship gave me a sense of office work, right? Like, it gives you a structured office setting. I was at the DeKalb County History Center for my internship. And so that's a super, super small organization, and they thrive off of volunteers. I don't have any kind of volunteer interaction. The Community Foundation doesn't offer volunteer hours. So I got to experience the volunteer side of things, but really it was that office structure that was really valuable to me, because prior to that, I hadn't had any office experience.
And nothing at all like Dunder Mifflin, I assume. I hope, at least. But you both mentioned it, that if you could do this over again, you would take different advantage. What other advice would current Clara tell past Clara?
It's okay not to have your mind made up. I think it was something I really, 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 I had to come to a lot of terms with not doing the job, going through the job search while in undergrad, my junior, senior year. I think, and I had no idea what I wanted. I still don't. Right? Like, in my short-term, mid-term future, grad school is a possibility, right? But what would I even study? It's okay not to have your mind made up, I think. And I thought I knew exactly what I wanted, and that has shifted drastically. So I think current Clara is very happy where she is. But past Clara would be, oh my God, that's not what you thought you wanted to do. Why are you doing that? And so understanding that minds change and it's okay not to know is really valuable. I think the other thing I would also say is always introduce yourself. A good introduction makes a relationship. We had a congressman in our office last week, right? I say hi, shake his hand. Maybe he remembers me, maybe he doesn't. I am an office administrator, right? But he remembers the connections that are there, right? So always introducing yourself is something I will push heavily.
Yeah, it's something that we learned on the fly in Springfield during the NAU advocacy days, that you look for those connections because those are the things you can call on. And some strange connections you didn't know would be that you could leverage. And those folks are hardwired to make a contact. And you're not just the office worker, you are the person that can get them what they want. So it's important to value your own self. And for those who are not office managers, in addition to just being human beings and therefore worthy of your full compassion and empathy, they're also really good to get to know. So just my own aside. So Bianca, what advice would you give past Bianca?
Give yourself grace. That's what I would say. Because just as Clara said, like, it's okay not to have everything figured out, but it's okay, like, to have things working with you also. Like, you can't expect everything to happen all at once. Everything takes time and everything has patience to it. That's what I would definitely tell myself back in college. Because I always felt like, for me, I always had this pressure on myself, like, just again, because I was always involved with everything. I was involved with a lot of things. So I felt like I had a lot of pressure on myself. So I would definitely tell myself, okay, have some grace, but also take a breath. Um, because even now in my career, I feel like sometimes it's hard to even have a moment and take a breath. And I feel like if I were to learn that earlier, it wouldn't be so hard for me now as an adult, right? Mm. but definitely just take that moment, reevaluate, and then start anew.
Yeah, so that's a good place to pause and see if there's any other questions that folks have who are here. Um, any anything else that folks want to learn more about, to hear about?
Ali and India, you guys are in the thick of it right now. What are the things that you're wondering about what you'll do when you graduate? Anything?
Um, I did have. I'm sorry if y'all answered this already, but I had a question on like how easy was it for you to find a job after graduation, and then what helped you get in there?
That's a good question. And I'd add on there, like, where did you even look? Where do you look for
Yes.
jobs these days? Clara,
I
you
can
Well,
want
go. I can start because my job hunt was long. I think perseverance is key. um, my job hunt to finding my current position, probably in all, like if I were to add up all the hours, we're looking at probably 6 months. St. Louis is a very interesting space to be. You have some of the leading public health universities, social work schools, between like St. Louis University and Washington University of St. Louis. It's a very nonprofit heavy city. So with a lot of opportunities also comes a lot of competition. And so hundreds of job applications, hundreds of no responses. And so it took a lot of perseverance, lots of tears, lots of frustration. But I think really like what I just kept looking. I set every possible alert on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on all of the job application websites. I got really lucky in St. Louis. There is the Rome Group, which is a nonprofit in and of itself that is essentially a nonprofit job board. So setting those alerts and knowing that like anything that was even remotely nonprofit related got applied to that board. So honestly, all of the alerts on all of the websites and just always apply and follow up. But it took lots and lots and lots of time and job applications and perseverance to even honestly get a response. And that is kind of just, I know I'm not the only one. That's kind of just how the job market is right now. You just have to keep at it.
Man, thank you
And
for
then
sharing the Rome group. It's just nice to see an organization like that. I can't think of one that's exactly like that up here, but that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's kind of located, it's centralized on East St. Louis and East St. Louis and Southern Illinois.
Okay.
But it's, if you're ever down here, it's a resource.
Yeah, that's great.
you said it's called the Rome Group.
Yeah, kind of like the city in Italy, essentially.
Okay, and
I'll
I can
pop
just
it.
look that up to find more. Oh,
Yeah, I'll pop it in the chat, India, because I'm on it right now.
okay. And then what was your degree in when you graduated?
I double majored in anthropology and nonprofit studies,
Right. Okay.
but I found quickly that I wasn't as interested in like the anthropology research side as I was in the nonprofit side, where things kind of overlapped nicely. I mentioned a couple times I am a museum lover at heart. My true um, interest is in education in a non-traditional setting, libraries, museums, kind of all those not quirky but kind of quirky things that you might not think of as, they're not traditional education but they still teach people. That's what I at heart am passionate about. And so anthropology kind of overlaps. That's kind of where the anthropology and nonprofit life overlaps.
Bianca, where did you look for your jobs?
Well, down in El Paso for my first job, there's a community job board. So there was one through the city of El Paso, and then through Indeed, and then through LinkedIn. And then for where I'm currently at, I had I made the connection with somebody, and that's where I was able to kind of be referred to the job, not given, referred.
Yeah. Right.
And that's where I kind of stuck now.
Perfect.
So like what Clara was saying, practice your introduction. A lot of our students are a little shy when it comes to the networking part. But you know, your work speaks for itself. Your reputation that you've earned based on what your capacities that you've shown through the results of your efforts speak for itself. But you do have to make that like introduction to say, hey, by the way, you could look this up. And speaking of looking things up, Clara and Bianca, if you could please share your LinkedIn profile or other ways for people to get a hold of you, that would be fantastic. Because I know that our students would be thrilled to see their future selves in you and like, you know, check out what you're doing and like get that extra help because, you know, the mentoring that you both mentioned would be super great if folks can just be in touch. So I don't know if you could put that link in the chat so that our folks can benefit. And while you're doing that, I know you both are multitaskers. I've had you both in class. Any final words of wisdom you'd like to impart on folks today?
Don't be afraid to speak to your professors. They will definitely help you in the future.
Stay in contact. It's not something I really did. And I regret it. So stay in contact with people you have made friends with, professors, mentors, all of those things. Learn how to advocate for yourself and learn how to say no. You're gonna have to do it at some point, whether it's to a project or to a whole job. If it doesn't suit you, learn how to say no.
Great. I appreciate both of those. Hey, India, I'm not sure if you can turn on your camera if you want to, and Steph, I think you can't. But if it's okay with you guys, I'd love to take a screenshot of our first career conversation. Ali, are you okay with that? Yeah? Okay. India, also awesome. Steph's gonna try. We can't hear you, India. Oh, she might be talking to somebody else.
Oh
Okay,
no,
Steph.
I was talking to y'all. I was just saying I wanted to turn my camera on anyway and introduce myself and get familiar because I know we said networking was a big thing always. I was just busy when I first joined, so I was kind of using it as a podcast.
Okay. Excellent. Yay, look, we have everybody. Okay, I'm like the old person. I'm gonna count to 3 and then I'm gonna take a screenshot. Okay, so your best smiles then. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
And I'm not going to be that 2-year-old that sticks his tongue out when mom takes a photo. So
Awesome.
fantastic. Thank you. Shall we announce the next career conversation?
That would be great. Let me look up the date. Our next one is in October, and it is going to be let's see, what date? Good Lord, Mark, I should have had that up. I'll send it out, but it is working with the Illinois Hispanic Local Government Association. And we're going to be talking with NIU alums who are part of the the Hispanic Alumni Association that are working at the intersection of, is it October 20th, Ally? Is that what the next date is? Thank you. Jobs at the intersection of working with local government or local government nonprofit partnerships. So it's 4 NGO or NIU and 2 NGO of them are NGO alums, talking about how they got into that, and now like being part of that big alliance too has made a big difference for them. So that will be our October, and thanks, Holly. To Monday, October 20th.
Well, as always, it's great to be connected. Clara and Bianca, good to see you again. Don't be strangers. You know where we are. Julianne, thank you as always for putting this together. Indy and Ollie and Steph, thanks for coming. We look forward to more of these. Have a wonderful evening and be safe and be good to yourself.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.